Sojourner Trail. What the? Off to a good start.
Good.
So on our last day in Kingston, New York, we decided to do a little bit more mountain biking. We got in the car after a really good breakfast in town and headed up and over the Gunks again. Really, really pretty drive. As you can see the ridge line up there. Already made videos about riding up there. Absolutely stunning, especially at the time of the year we were there. We parked about halfway up the mountain at the Rogue Harbor trailhead. We all took off together, but we all kind of had a different plan. Well, Dylan was going to ride farther ahead, ride a little farther, ride a little faster. He's better at all this kind of stuff and a stronger rider in general. And Aaron had a loop planned to go around and come back to the car up there. Right out of the gate, it was climby and then super rocky and technical again. It's really interesting, having already made a video about these East Coast hand-built trails, to see all the comments I've gotten and the different opinions on it. As you can see what it looks like right here, I got the comments that ranged from no thank you, I do not want to ride on this kind of stuff, especially when it's all covered in leaves and it looks like it might even be hard to see where the trail goes sometimes, which it is, and I'll get back to here in a minute, to people in the middle who are just like, hey, this is what we have where we live, so this is what I ride. And then people on the other end who even came across a little bro-y, I think, saying like, these trails look tame compared to what I ride. Whatever. Of course, there's always going to be harder trails than anything, apparently. You know, I am someone who has no desire to ride the super enduro downhill jump lines. That's I don't have a bike for it. It's out of my skill set, probably out of my level of nerves and confidence. Never say never, because I do a lot of things I never thought I would do, but whatever, there's all kinds of different stuff. You know, around here we have some trails that are old school hand-built trails. Out at West Branch, it's very slow going like this, more because of roots. And then there's a trail there called the Corey Trail, which is super rocky, which is even more technical and challenging than some of this stuff, but on about the same level. So yeah, it was interesting to hear what people said. I did ask people's opinions on what bike would be best for this kind of stuff. Some people misunderstood that. Like, I didn't have a huge option. We were gone for a whole week and we were doing all kinds of riding. So I brought the bike that I felt like would be most suited in the middle. So yes, on these trails, I'm slightly underbiked. We also did a lot of road riding. We did a lot of gravel riding. You know, I was doing bike events. So I am confident in what I chose, which was my Gunner with its 55 millimeter tires and Velo Orange Granola sweet bars. If I went back on this exact trip tomorrow, I would bring this bike again. So yeah, when I was asking for those opinions, it's like, if you lived here, you know, or if you had the option to bring more than one bike, which I didn't, because our car was full. So Ben and I actually lost the trail. We ended up on this double track and then turned out onto a gravel road. Turns out we were supposed to cross a creek that we did not see. I know Erin said she actually took her shoes off to go across the creek and walked over it and then started riding again on the other side. But this was kind of a happy accident for us because we got to descend this really pretty gravel road back down and I really enjoyed it. So, you know, whatever, I didn't mind. And we got down to the town Wawarsing. Again, if you want to roast my pronunciation, I don't live here. I've never been there. You could let me know how it's pronounced. People love to do that. Anyway, so down at the bottom, you'll have to check out the Strava I have linked below, is a whole another set of trails that I don't know if are like the original part, and then they built this higher up, longer top part. We did run into someone at breakfast who was explaining that all to us, but it's been a few weeks and I don't quite remember. But they look like a liver. They are just like these super twisty, roundabout, you know, back and forth on each other trails. And then there's just a series of loops that build off of it. Me and Ben rode around there, which is down here by this lake, and had a lot of fun riding those trails as well. There were still some rocky parts and stuff like that, but there was little parts that were a bit more flowy, and there was even some bumps that we were able to get a little bit of jump off of and stuff like that. So we rode down here waiting for Dylan to finish the big loop, and then Erin had made a loop that was just up at the top, and she drove the car down here to meet us after this. So you can see here we're riding those trails, which are just a little different and real interesting, and I think a little bit more fun in my opinion. So again, I know there are people who love old school hand-built trails. They love this East Coast super rocky stuff. They just like the technical, slow going, They have the right bikes for it and all that. There's nothing wrong with that. Just because it's not my favorite is not a comment on you. Like I have said a million times on this channel, I like all kinds of riding and I'm willing to try anything. So again, I'm not dumb for being out here, and I'm also not dumb for it not being my favorite kind of riding in the world. Dylan, who's with us, is the strongest rider I know. He could probably smoke 95% of the people listening to this on any kind of terrain. And these trails were stuff he really didn't like that much. Still prefers the fast, flowy stuff, the modern machine-built trails like me and the rest of my crew do as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. We could like what we like. It doesn't make us less of riders or anything like that. So yeah, ride what you like, you know. And when you're traveling, then you do. I experience more of this stuff, and now I know what it's like. Would I ride these trails again? Maybe not, but not a big deal, you know. Just maybe not for me. So after finishing with those trails, we headed back closer to Kingston. These trails here were Sojourner Truth Park. There's on the Shopanock Ridge or something like that. These were the rockiest trails yet. Again, these were like we described as hiking trails where bikes were allowed. That's really what it felt like. It almost feels like bikes, not that they shouldn't be allowed here, but it's almost unnecessary. Me and Aaron and Ben rode around the top section a little bit. There was a white trail that descended way down, and Dylan rode that, and we decided not to. And after riding around there, I didn't put a lot of miles in there. I was already getting a little tired from the trip, and we still had, nutmeg ahead. So I kind of chilled a little bit. And then since we were pretty close to Kingston, Ben and I decided to ride back to town. Aaron and Dylan drove. This was actually one of my favorite rides of the trip so far. It was pavement, but it was just really, really pretty rolly country roads. Not too much traffic. And just, again, one of the things I sometimes like about riding is sightseeing and seeing a different part of the country. So I really enjoyed it. I really had a good time on this little ride, seeing the area around where we had been staying. As you might have noticed there, we drove out to the mountain bike trails, and I forgot my helmet on this trip, just this day. But a little annoying, but I don't know. Before, when I first got back into riding, I never wore a helmet, so I wear them. It's kind of like the seatbelt. It's more of a why not be protected, but I'm not going to not ride my bike because I don't have one. So yeah, again, look at this bridge and everything back into town was just really, really cool. So I'm glad it worked out like that. I'm glad we went to those trails more to get this ride in. This section here is actually considered part of the Empire Trail. I mean, now you can see where it's paved, but back there, that was actually a really busy road that we had to ride a couple miles on. There was plenty of shoulder, but it's kind of unfortunate that that's part of the Empire Trail. Hopefully, eventually there's a bypass, or they could make they could divide it a little more. I just figure that there's a lot of people who are going to be bike touring something like the Empire Trail, and that is not a road they're going to want to ride on. So after dinner, Ben and I rode down to the Hudson River. We hadn't actually been down to the riverfront in Kingston, but it was dark, so we didn't get to see much, but still got a little nice extra ride in. But that was it for this leg of the trip. We were off to Nutmeg next in Connecticut. That video is already out, so I will link it at the end screen. So we really enjoyed our time in Kingston. The Hudson Valley is really cool. Again, any opinions you have, let me know them. I don't mind them. Just try and be cool about it. I mean, if you love this stuff, you don't need to be mean about it because I don't have a problem with it. So anyways, yeah, great week-long trip out east. I just got back from a work trip, so just getting back into riding and getting more of our regular scheduled content up. Peace.